6 months after Operation Alien Extinct, Admiral Dae-Ho Kim stood in the command center of Earth's first interstellar space station. Through the massive viewing window, he could see ships from dozens of alien species waiting in line to speak with human representatives. The galaxy had changed completely. "Admiral, we have another delegation requesting an audience," reported Lieutenant Boram, who was now his chief communications officer. "The Zephyrian Trade Union wants to discuss defense agreements." "How many does that make today?" Dae-Ho asked. 17 different species, sir, all wanting to ally with Earth or asking for our protection." It was hard to believe how quickly everything had changed. 6 months ago, humanity had been facing extinction. Now they were the most feared and respected species in the galaxy. Captain Min-Soo Park entered the command center carrying a data tablet. He looked healthier now, though the loss of his daughter would always stay with him. His grief had become something else, a determination to make sure no other species would suffer what humanity had endured. "The final report on Valkyrian space is ready," he said, handing the tablet to Dae-Ho. "Every military installation destroyed. Every government facility eliminated. Their homeworld is completely lifeless. Any survivors?" Dae-Ho asked, though he already knew the answer. "None. Dr. Hyejin's biological weapons spread through their entire civilization. The last confirmed Valkyrian died 4 days ago on a remote mining station in the outer colonies. It was complete extinction. An entire species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years had been wiped out in less than 6 months." The thought should have bothered Dae-Ho more than it did, but every time he felt guilty, he remembered the broadcast of 10 billion humans being tortured and killed for entertainment. "What's the status of the former Valkyrian colonies?" he asked. "Most of the enslaved species have declared independence," Min-Soo replied. "The Thrakari Republic sent a message thanking us for their freedom. The Quellian systems want to join our new alliance. Even the machine intelligence from the Outer Rim is interested in cooperation." Engineer Jae-Won Choi appeared on the communication screen from Earth's surface. "Admiral, the new shipyards are ahead of schedule. We'll have 50 more quantum-armed vessels ready within the month. The other species are amazed by our construction speed." "Good. What about the technology sharing program?" "Dr. Hyejin is working with representatives from 12 different species. We're teaching them our medical techniques and they're sharing their knowledge with us. The Arkelian healers are particularly interested in our biological research methods." It was ironic. The same biological weapons that had destroyed the Valkyrians were now being used to cure diseases across the galaxy. Dr. Hyejin had adapted her techniques to help other species fight illnesses that had plagued them for generations. Dr. So-Young Kang's voice came through the intercom from the computer center. "Admiral, I've finished analyzing the Valkyrian data archives. You need to see this." "Put it on the main screen," Dae-Ho ordered. The display showed a galactic map with thousands of red dots marking former Valkyrian territories, but there were also blue dots scattered throughout the galaxy and green dots around the edges. "The red dots are Valkyrian space," So-Young explained. "The blue dots are species that were paying tribute to the Empire but weren't directly controlled. The green dots are civilizations that were hiding from the Valkyrians." "How many total?" Min-Soo asked. "Over 3,000 different species. Most of them were living in fear, sending resources to the Valkyrians to avoid being conquered. Now that the Empire is gone, they're all looking for a new protector." Commander Tae-Hyun Lim's face appeared on another screen from his flagship in the outer system. "Admiral, we're detecting movement from the galactic core regions. Long-range sensors show several large fleets heading toward former Valkyrian space." "Hostile?" Dae-Ho asked. "Unknown. But they're big. Each fleet has over 100 ships. If they're planning to take over Valkyrian territory, we might have a fight on our hands." Dae-Ho studied the tactical information. Other empires were already moving to fill the power vacuum left by the Valkyrians. It was exactly what he had expected would happen. "How long until they reach the border?" he asked. 3 weeks for the closest fleet. It's flying the banner of something called the Hegemony of Suns." Dr. So-Young pulled up information about the hegemony on her screen. "According to the Valkyrian archives, they're another major empire from the far side of the galaxy. They control about 1,000 star systems and have a reputation for enslaving primitive species." "Sounds familiar," Min-Soo said grimly. "Sir," Boram called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Hegemony fleet. They're demanding to speak with Earth's government." "Put them through," Dae-Ho ordered. The screen filled with the image of something that looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird. It had scaled skin, bright yellow eyes, and a beak filled with sharp teeth. When it spoke, the translator made its voice sound formal and arrogant. "I am Supreme Commander Vexthul of the Hegemony of Suns," the creature said. "We have come to claim the territories left vacant by the extinct Valkyrians. Your species will submit to hegemony rule or be eliminated." The command center fell silent. After everything they had been through, here was another alien empire making the same mistakes the Valkyrians had made. "Tell me," Deho replied calmly. "Did you watch what happened to the last species that threatened humanity?" "The Valkyrians were weak," Vexthul responded. "They had grown soft from easy conquests. The hegemony has been forged in constant warfare. We are not so easily defeated." Deho looked around the command center. His officers were all watching him, waiting to see how he would respond to this new threat. 6 months ago, they had been desperate people fighting for survival. Now they were the guardians of galactic peace. "I'll give you the same choice we gave the Valkyrians," Deho said. "Leave this region of space and never return. Find somewhere else to play your empire games. Because if you threaten any species under Earth's protection, you'll discover that the Valkyrians weren't the only ones who were weak." "Your threats mean nothing," Vexthul snarled. "We have 1,000 worlds and 10 billion warriors. You are one small planet." "The Valkyrians ruled 2,000 worlds and had 2 billion soldiers," Deho replied. "It didn't help them." He gestured to So Young, who immediately began working at her computer station. "Dr. Kang, please show our new friends what happened to the last empire that underestimated humanity." The screen split to show Vexthul on one side and footage from Operation Alien Extinct on the other. The alien watched as human weapons destroyed Valkyrian fleets, as biological agents killed billions, as an entire civilization was erased from the galaxy in a matter of hours. "This is what happens when you threaten Earth," Deho continued. "This is what happens when you hurt our allies. And this is what will happen to you if you don't turn your ships around right now." Vexthul's yellow eyes widened as he watched the footage. His confident expression was replaced by something that looked like fear. You killed an entire species," he whispered. "They killed 10 billion humans for entertainment," Minsu said, stepping into view of the camera. "They broadcast the torture and murder of our children across the galaxy." "What did you think would happen?" The alien commander was quiet for a long moment, studying the destruction on his screen. "The hegemony will reconsider our plans for this region," he finally said. "Perhaps there are better territories to explore elsewhere." "Smart choice," Deho replied. "And Commander, spread the word to any other empires thinking about expansion. Earth protects this part of the galaxy now. Anyone who wants to enslave species or conquer worlds will have to go through us first." The transmission ended. On the tactical display, the hegemony fleet began changing course, moving away from former Valkyrian space. "Think they'll stay away?" Minsu asked. "For now," Deho replied. "But there will be others." "There are always others." Dr. So Young looked up from her computer. "Admiral, I'm detecting signals from the far edge of the galaxy. Multiple empires are monitoring our communications. Word about humanity is spreading." "Let it spread," Deho said. "Let every species in the universe know that Earth stands ready to defend those who cannot defend themselves. Let them know that humans remember our friends and never forget our enemies." He walked to the viewing window and looked out at the alien ships, waiting for audiences with Earth. Species that had been slaves were now free. Worlds that had lived in fear were now protected. An entire region of the galaxy was safe from conquest and exploitation. But Deho knew this was just the beginning. The universe was vast, and it was full of predators who saw weaker species as prey. Some of them would eventually test humanity's resolve. They would learn the same lesson the Valkyrians had learned. Humans were no longer the hunted. They were the hunters, and they were very, very good at it. "Boram, open a channel to all allied worlds," he ordered. "Channel open, sir." "This is Admiral Deho Kim of the Terran Federation," he announced to the galaxy. "Earth's message is simple. We protect those who seek peace. We defend those who cannot defend themselves, and we ensure that the strong never again prey upon the weak." He paused, knowing that his words were being heard across thousands of worlds. At exactly 72 hours after the alien ultimatum, Admiral Deho Kim stood before the main communication array at Earth Defense Command. The moment had come. For 3 days, the galaxy had watched what they thought was another easy Valkyrian victory. They were about to learn they were wrong. Dr. He-jin, are your biological weapons ready? Taeho asked. Ready and loaded into delivery systems, she replied from the medical lab. The alien we captured gave me everything I needed. Their DNA is so simple, so uniform. I've created 17 different biological agents that will shut down their organs one by one. They'll be dead in minutes. Commander Taehyun, is the hidden fleet in position? Taehyun's voice came through the communication system from space. All 237 ships are ready, Admiral. We've been waiting our whole lives for this moment. Engineer J1 quantum weapon status? Every nuclear reactor on Earth is connected and charged, J1 reported. We can hit 2,000 targets simultaneously across the galaxy. The reality distortion torpedoes will phase through any shield and rewrite local physics. Dr. So-young, do you have control of their communication network? So-young looked up from her computer station with a wild grin. Complete control, Admiral. I can access every ship, every base, every planet in their empire. And I can broadcast on every channel simultaneously. Daeho nodded. Around him, the command center was filled with the quiet intensity of people who knew they were about to change the course of galactic history. Attention all teams, he said into his communication device. This is Admiral Kim. Operation Alien Extinct begins now. The first strike came from space. Commander Taehyun's hidden fleet dropped their disguises and revealed themselves to the Valkyrian ships orbiting Earth. For a moment, the alien fleet was confused. Their sensors had shown empty space just seconds before. Surprise, Taehyun whispered as he gave the order to fire. The hidden human ships had been designed specifically to fight the Valkyrians. Their weapons were quantum-based, phasing through normal space to hit targets in parallel dimensions. The Valkyrian shields, which had protected them from every weapon they had ever encountered, were useless. The first alien ship died without ever understanding what had killed it. The quantum torpedo passed through its shields like they weren't there and exploded inside the ship's reactor. The massive vessel simply stopped existing. Direct hit on flagship, reported one of Taehyun's pilots. Target eliminated. But the space battle was only the beginning. On Earth's surface, Captain Min-soo Park was leading the ground assault in New York City. His teams had been fighting a careful guerrilla war for hours, making the aliens think they were just desperate survivors. Now it was time to show them what human soldiers could really do. All ground teams, weapons free, Min-soo ordered. Kill them all. The humans emerged from their hiding places carrying weapons the aliens had never seen before. J1's engineers had worked for 3 days straight, creating guns that fired concentrated gravity, rifles that shot miniature black holes, and grenades that opened tears in space-time. The Valkyrian soldiers suddenly found themselves fighting enemies who could bend reality itself. Their energy weapons, so effective against normal matter, couldn't hit targets that existed in 4 dimensions at once. What are these weapons? One alien managed to broadcast before a human soldier. Shot him with a gravity gun that compressed his body into a ball the size of a marble, but the most devastating attack was happening on a scale the individual soldiers couldn't see. Dr. Hyojin's biological weapons had been loaded into Earth's atmospheric processors and launched into space. The microscopic agent spread through the void, designed to seek out Valkyrian life support systems. Biological attack initiated, Hyojin reported, targeting their atmospheric recycling systems. The agents are programmed to reproduce rapidly in oxygen-rich environments. The aliens' breathing systems became death traps. The biological agents multiplied in their air recyclers, creating toxins that specifically targeted Valkyrian cellular structure. Within minutes, aliens throughout the fleet began dying from respiratory failure. Sir, we're reading massive casualties on all enemy ships, Boram reported from her sensor station. Their life signs are dropping rapidly. In space, Taehyun watched as the Valkyrian fleet began to fall apart. Ships that had been firing at his forces moments before were now drifting powerless, their crews dead or dying. Admiral, enemy fleet neutralized, he reported. 47 ships destroyed or disabled. No human casualties, but Earth was just one target. The real attack was happening across the galaxy. So-young had used the Valkyrian communication network to map every major installation in their empire. Now J1's quantum weapons were targeting all of them simultaneously, firing quantum torpedoes at primary targets, J1 announced. 2,000 weapons launched. The quantum torpedoes traveled through folded space, reaching their targets instantly regardless of distance. Each one carried enough destructive power to destroy a city. and they were all programmed to hit the most important Valkyrian worlds at exactly the same moment. On the main screen, So Young displayed what was happening across the galaxy. Red dots showed Valkyrian worlds going dark one by one as the quantum weapons found their targets. Military bases, shipyards, government centers, and population hubs were all being destroyed simultaneously. Primary target hit, she reported. The Valkyrian homeworld is gone. Capital city vaporized. Secondary targets hit. Their main military academy is destroyed. Fleet construction yards eliminated. Population center on Velthor destroyed. The reports kept coming. Each red dot on the galactic map represented millions of Valkyrian lives ending in nuclear fire. But Daiho wanted the galaxy to see what was happening. So Young, take control of their broadcast network. I want every species in the galaxy to watch this. So Young's fingers flew across her keyboard. Suddenly, every communication system in Valkyrian space was carrying the same signal. But instead of showing human deaths for alien entertainment, it was broadcasting the systematic destruction of the Valkyrian Empire. Broadcasting on all Valkyrian channels, she announced. 2 billion aliens are watching their own species die. Daiho stepped in front of the camera. Behind him, the tactical display showed Valkyrian worlds burning across the galaxy. My name is Admiral Daiho Kim of Earth, he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the Valkyrian Empire. 3 days ago, you broadcast the deaths of 10 billion humans for your entertainment. You thought we were weak. You thought we were just another species to be enslaved and killed. On the tactical display, more red dots appeared as quantum weapons found their targets. You were wrong, Daiho continued. Humans are not your victims. We are not your entertainment. We are your executioners. The camera panned to show the destruction happening in real time. Valkyrian colonies burning, their fleets being destroyed by human weapons, their population centers disappearing in balls of nuclear fire. This is what happens when you make humanity angry, Daiho said. This is what happens when you mistake mercy for weakness. This is what happens when you kill our children for fun. Minsu's voice came over the communication system from New York. Ground forces reporting total victory. All Valkyrian soldiers in all cities eliminated. 0 human casualties, Taehyun reported from space. Fleet action complete. Valkyrian orbital forces destroyed. Their reinforcement fleets eliminated en route. Jaewon called out from his weapons station. Quantum torpedo barrage complete. Primary target destruction confirmed. 2,000 Valkyrian installations eliminated. Dr. Hee-jin's report was the most chilling of all. Biological attack successful. Atmospheric analysis of enemy ships shows complete crew mortality. The biological agents are spreading to other Valkyrian installations through their own air recycling networks. Daiho looked directly into the camera, knowing that species across the galaxy were watching. The Valkyrian Empire is finished, he said. In the span of 1 hour, we have eliminated their government, their military, and most of their population. Their remaining colonies will fall within days as our biological weapons spread through their networks. He paused, letting the galaxy absorb what they had just witnessed. Let this be a lesson to every species watching. Humans protect those who cannot protect themselves. But if you threaten us, if you hurt our people, if you mistake our desire for peace as a sign of weakness, we will show you what 8 billion angry humans can accomplish. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, the Valkyrian Empire was dying, and every alien species now knew that Earth was not to be underestimated. The fake explosions began exactly 48 hours after the alien ultimatum. Admiral Daiho Kim watched from his hidden command bunker as carefully placed charges destroyed empty buildings across Earth's major cities. To anyone watching from space, it would look like the planet was surrendering without a fight. Broadcasting surrender message now, said Dr. So Young Kang from her computer station. She had spent the last day creating fake video footage of Earth's leaders giving up. The video showed President Kyung-ho announcing humanity's defeat, military commanders ordering their soldiers to lay down weapons, and crowds of people gathering in city centers as ordered. But it was all lies. The real president was safely hidden in an underground facility, 3 miles beneath the surface. The military was working harder than ever, converting every factory on Earth into weapon production, and the crowds in the cities were mostly holographic projections. Enemy fleet is slowing down, reported Lieutenant Boram from the sensor station. They're taking their time now. They think we've already given up. Perfect, Daiho said. Minsu, are your teams ready? Captain Minsu Park looked up from his tactical display. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but his voice was steady. Strike teams are in position around all major cities. We have volunteers dressed as civilians, weapons hidden in fake surrender areas. When they land, we'll be ready. The plan was simple but dangerous. Let the Valkyrians land on Earth believing they had won easily. Capture at least one alive for Dr. Hyjin to study. Then begin the real attack while their guard was completely down. Doctor, how is your biological research going? Daeho asked. Dr. Hyjin Lee was hunched over a microscope, working with samples of Earth's most dangerous bacteria. I've created 17 different biological agents that should work against carbon-based life forms. But I need to test them on actual alien biology first. I need that live specimen. Engineer Jaewon Choi walked into the command center carrying a tablet covered with technical drawings. The quantum weapons are ahead of schedule. Every nuclear reactor on the planet is now connected to our weapon grid. We can fire reality-warping torpedoes at 2,000 different targets across the galaxy simultaneously. What about the hidden fleet? Daeho asked. Commander Taehyun Lim appeared on the main communication screen from his secret base in the asteroid belt. All ships are ready, Admiral. We've been disguised as space debris for so long. Some of my crew forgot what it feels like to fly properly. But our weapons are charged and our crews are eager for revenge. The Valkyrian fleet was now close enough to see with Earth's telescopes. Their ships were massive, black rectangles that blocked out the stars behind them. Each one was big enough to hold a small city. And there were 47 of them. Incoming transmission from the alien fleet, Boram announced. Put it on screen, but don't let them see us, Daeho ordered. I want them to think all our command centers have been abandoned. Supreme Overlord Thexhai appeared on the screen again. The alien looked exactly the same as before, but now there was something like satisfaction in those black eyes. Humans of Earth, the alien said, we are pleased that you have chosen the wise path of surrender. Our landing craft will arrive at your major population centers in 6 hours. All humans are to gather in the areas we have marked. Do not bring weapons. Do not bring technology. Bring only yourselves. The transmission ended. So Young immediately started typing on her computer. I'm tracking their signal back to its source, she said excitedly. Admiral, their communication system is even better than I hoped. It's not just connecting their fleet to their empire. It's connecting every single ship, every space station, every planet in real time. If I can get into their main network, you can access everything, Daeho finished. Everything. Their ship locations, their planet defenses, their population centers. I can even take control of their own weapons systems. Dr. Hyjin looked up from her work. How long do you need? Give me 12 hours with access to one of their ships, and I can map their entire civilization. The next 6 hours passed slowly. Earth's cities continued to burn with fake fires. Military bases broadcast automated messages saying they had been abandoned. Even Earth's orbital defense platforms appeared to have shut down, though in reality they were just hiding their energy signatures. When the first Valkyrian landing craft appeared in Earth's atmosphere, they looked like black teardrops falling from the sky. Each one was the size of a football stadium. They landed in the centers of major cities around the world, crushing buildings that had already been evacuated. Landing craft are down, reported Boram, detecting movement from all sites. Daeho switched to the tactical channel that connected him to Minsu's strike teams. All teams, the game begins now. Remember, we need at least one alive. On the main screen, they watched as Valkyrians began emerging from their landing craft. The aliens moved in perfect formation, like soldiers who had done this thousands of times before. They carried weapons that glowed with energy, and they wore armor that covered their entire bodies. But they were relaxed. They walked slowly, casually. They were expecting scared, defenseless humans to come crawling out of hiding places. Instead, they got Minsu's special forces. The first attack happened in New York. 20 Valkyrians were walking through Times Square, scanning the area with their weapons. They had no idea that 40 human soldiers were hiding in the ruined buildings around them, armed with experimental weapons that could punch through alien armor. Strike Team Alpha, engage. Minsu's voice came through the radio. The humans opened fire from 12 different directions at once. The aliens' personal shields deflected the first few shots. But Jaewon's new weapons were designed to adapt. Each shot learned from the previous one, adjusting its frequency until it found a way through the alien defenses. 3 Valkyrians fell immediately. The others tried to return fire, But the humans were already moving to new positions. Urban warfare was something humans had been practicing for centuries. The aliens were used to fighting in open space or against enemies who stood still and surrendered. Target secured in New York, came a report from Strike Team Alpha. One alien captured alive, but badly wounded. Similar reports came in from teams around the world. The Valkyrians had expected easy occupation. Instead, they found themselves fighting running battles in every major city against enemies who knew every building, every tunnel, every hiding place. But the real surprise came when the aliens tried to call for help from their ships in orbit. So Young had been busy during the landing operation. While the aliens were focused on the ground, she had been quietly hacking into their communication network through their own landing craft. "I'm in," she announced with a huge smile. "Admiral, I have access to their entire fleet network. And through that, I'm touching their main Imperial communication system." "What can you see?" asked Deho. "Everything. Ship positions, crew numbers, weapon specifications, star charts showing every world they control." Her fingers flew across her keyboard. "And look at this. They're not just broadcasting our invasion to their empire. They're selling it. This is entertainment that people pay to watch." On the screen, So Young showed them what the Valkyrian audience was seeing. It was supposed to be humans being rounded up and killed like on all the other worlds. Instead, it showed Valkyrian soldiers being hunted through Earth cities by human fighters who refused to give up. "The audience is getting angry," So Young reported, reading alien text that scrolled across the broadcast. "They paid to see humans die, not to watch Valkyrians struggle." Dr. He-Jin's voice came over the intercom from the medical lab. "I have the specimen. Beginning analysis now. Give me 4 hours and I'll have biological weapons that will target their specific DNA." Jaewon appeared at Deho's shoulder. "Admiral, our quantum weapons are fully charged. We can begin the galactic strike at any time." Deho looked around the command center. Everything was going according to plan so far. The aliens thought they were still winning, even though they were actually walking into the biggest trap in human history. "Not yet," he said. "Let them think they're still in control. Let their whole empire watch as their perfect soldiers struggle to defeat one small planet. When we finally show them what humans are really capable of." I want it to be a complete surprise. On the tactical display, red dots showed Valkyrian forces in 12 cities around Earth. Green dots showed human strike teams moving through the urban landscape like ghosts, hitting the aliens and disappearing before they could respond. The Valkyrians had come to Earth expecting to find their next victims. Instead, they had found their worst nightmare. The emergency meeting began 30 minutes after the alien broadcast ended. Every important person on Earth who could make it to the command center was there. Military leaders, scientists, engineers, and politicians filled the large conference room. The air felt heavy with fear and desperation. Admiral Dae-ho Kim stood at the head of the table, looking at faces he had known for years. These people had spent their lives preparing for war, but never for anything like this. Captain Min-soo Park sat in the corner, staring at nothing. His daughter's death was still fresh in his mind. "Let's hear what we know," Dae-ho said, his voice steady despite everything. Dr. Hyejin Lee stood up with a tablet in her hands. "I've analyzed the entire broadcast. The aliens call themselves Valkyrians. Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours. Those energy shields around their ships can stop anything we can shoot at them." General Wansik from the Army spoke up. "Our satellites detected their main fleet 6 hours ago. 47 ships, each one bigger than our largest space station. They'll reach Earth in 68 hours. What about evacuation?" asked President Kyung-ho from the government. "Can we get people off the planet?" "Where would they go?" replied Admiral Soo-jin from the Space Fleet. "They've already destroyed every human colony, and our ships are too slow to outrun theirs anyway." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew the truth. There was nowhere to run. Engineer Jaewon Choi had been quiet since the meeting started. He was Earth's best military engineer, the man who designed most of their weapons. Now he cleared his throat and stood up. "I have an idea," he said, "but you're all going to think I'm crazy." "We're listening," Dae-ho said. Jaewon walked to the big screen and pulled up some technical drawings. "Instead of trying to defend Earth, we attack them. All of them. Every Valkyrian world at the same time." Several people started talking at once, but Dae-ho held up his hand for silence. "How?" he asked. "They made a mistake," Jaewon explained. They told us they rule 2,000 star systems. They told us their broadcast goes to 2 billion Valkyrians. That means their entire empire is connected by one big communication network. Dr. Heejin leaned forward. You want to use their own network against them?
Exactly.
But not just for communication. For delivery. J1 changed the screen to show biological charts. Doctor, what did you notice about their physical appearance? Hyojin thought for a moment. They all looked exactly the same. Same height, same build, same skin color. Either they have very little genetic variety or they're all clones, J1 finished. One genetic template copied billions of times. Which means they're all vulnerable to the same biological weapons. The room was completely silent now. Everyone was starting to understand what J1 was suggesting. The other thing we have that they don't, he continued, is immunity. They've been living in clean, sterile environments for thousands of years. They probably haven't dealt with biological threats in generations. But humans, we've been fighting diseases our entire existence. Colonel Tasik from Special Forces spoke up. You're talking about biological warfare on a galactic scale. How would we even deliver it? Through their own ships, J1 said. We let them land on Earth. We let them think they've won. Then we introduce Earth bacteria into their life support systems. From there, it spreads through their communication network to every ship, every space station, every world. That's insane, said President Kyung-ho. You're talking about killing an entire species. They killed 10 billion of us for entertainment, Min-Soo said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. They turned human children into a game show, and they're planning to do the same to every person on Earth. Dr. Hai-Jin was looking at her tablet, running calculations. It could work, she said slowly. I would need samples of their biology first. But if they're really all genetically identical, there's more, J1 continued. I've been working on something called quantum torpedoes. Weapons that can phase through any kind of shield. The problem was always power. We needed more energy than our reactors could produce. And now, asked Admiral Soo-jin, now we have 72 hours to convert every nuclear reactor on Earth into weapons. Instead of trying to power our cities, we use that energy to power weapons that can reach across the galaxy. Physicist Sung-Ho Yang, who had been quiet until now, stood up excitedly. The quantum field generators. If we link them all together, we could create reality distortions on a massive scale. We could make their own physics work against them. Explain that in simple terms, Dae-ho said. Imagine their shields protect them from everything in normal space, Sung-Ho said. But what if we shoot them with weapons from a different dimension? What if we make their own gravity crush their ships? The ideas were coming faster now. Engineer Minho from the weapons department suggested turning asteroids into guided missiles. Dr. Young-suk from the medical corps talked about creating viruses that only affected alien biology. Commander Tae-hyun from the secret space program mentioned ships hidden throughout the solar system that the aliens didn't know about. Wait, said Admiral Soo-jin. Secret ships? What secret ships? Tae-hyun looked at Dae-ho, who nodded. For the past 10 years, we've been building a hidden fleet. Ships disguised as space junk and asteroids. We were preparing for the possibility of alien invasion. How many ships? Dae-ho asked. 237. Each one equipped with experimental weapons and crewed by volunteers who've been training in secret. The room buzzed with new energy. What had seemed like certain death was starting to look like a chance for revenge. This is still suicide, President Kyung-ho said. Even if everything works perfectly, most of us will die. Most of us are going to die anyway, Min-Soo replied. At least this way, we take them with us. Dr. Hee-jin was working on her tablet again. I'll need to capture one of them alive. To study their biology and create the right biological agents. I'll handle that, Min-Soo said immediately. Captain, you don't have to. Dae-ho started. Yes, I do. Min-Soo's voice was hard as steel. They killed my daughter. They killed 10 billion people. I want to look one of them in the eye before I kill it. Engineer Jae-won pulled up a timeline on the screen. If we start now, we can have the quantum weapons ready in 60 hours. The biological agents will take longer, but we only need to get them onto one enemy ship. What about the broadcast? Asked Dr. So-young Kang, the computer expert. If we're going to do this, we should make sure the galaxy sees it. Let every species know that humans don't go quietly. Can you hack their communication network? Dae-ho asked. So-young smiled for the first time since the meeting started. Admiral, I've been dreaming of hacking alien technology my entire life. Give me 12 hours with their signal and I'll own their entire network. The meeting continued for 3 more hours. Plans were made. Resources were assigned. People volunteered for missions they knew they wouldn't survive. But something had changed in the room. The fear was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Hope and anger. Lots of anger. When the meeting finally ended, Deho stood alone in the conference room for a long time. In 65 hours, the Valkyrian fleet would arrive expecting to find a broken, surrendering planet. Instead, they would find 8 billion humans who had decided that if they were going to die, they would die fighting, and they would take as many aliens with them as possible. The Valkyrians had made one critical mistake. They thought humans were just another weak species. They were about to learn the difference between being weak and being peaceful. The communication array at Earth Defense Command started beeping at exactly 1432 Universal Time. Admiral Deho, Kim looked up from his morning reports as the green lights on the massive screens turned red. For the first time in human history, they were receiving a signal from outside the solar system. "Sir, we're getting something big," said Lieutenant Boram at the communications desk. Her hands moved quickly across the controls. "It's coming from the direction of Alpha Centauri, but much further out. The signal is incredibly strong." Deho stood up from his chair. He had been waiting for this moment his entire career. First contact with alien life. But something felt wrong. The signal was too powerful, too focused. It felt like a spotlight being shined directly at Earth. "Put it on the main screen," he ordered. The lights dimmed as the wall-sized display came to life. Static filled the screen for a few seconds, then cleared to show something that made everyone in the room freeze. It was clearly not human, but it stood upright like a person. Its skin was gray and smooth like metal. Its eyes were completely black and much larger than human eyes. When it spoke, the voice was translated into perfect English. "Greetings, humans of the third planet," the creature said. Its mouth didn't move the way human mouths did when speaking. "I am Supreme Overlord Thexhai of the Valkyrian Empire. We have been watching your species for some time." Deho felt his heart pounding. This was it. First contact, but the alien's tone was cold, like a teacher talking to misbehaving children. "We rule over 2,000 star systems and 47 different species," Thexhai continued. "Your kind has spread to many worlds beyond your home planet. We have been in contact with these colonies for several months now." Captain Minsu Park, who was standing next to Deho, grabbed his arm. "Sir, we lost contact with New Sol Colony 3 months ago. Command said it was equipment failure. The aliens seemed to hear them somehow. Yes, New Sol, a lovely world. The humans there were most entertaining before we removed them." The screen changed. Instead of showing Thexhai, it now showed what looked like a massive stadium filled with thousands of the gray aliens. They were all looking down at something in the center. The camera moved to show what they were watching. Humans. Hundreds of them standing in the middle of the stadium. They looked terrified. Men, women, children. Some were wearing the blue uniforms of the New Sol Colony. Others wore different clothes from different worlds. "What you are about to see," Thexhai's voice said over the images, "is being broadcast live across our entire empire. 2 billion Valkyrians are watching. We do this with every species we encounter. It serves as both entertainment and education." One of the humans in the stadium, a middle-aged man, was brought forward by 2 Valkyrian guards. He was forced to his knees. A device was placed on his head. The man screamed as electricity ran through his body. The aliens in the stadium made sounds that might have been laughter or cheering. "Stop this," Deho shouted at the screen, but he knew they couldn't hear him. "The pain you are witnessing is quite real," Thexhai explained. "We have learned that humans feel pain much more strongly than most species. This makes the process more interesting to watch." Minsu was staring at the screen with wide eyes. In the group of terrified humans, he could see a young woman who looked exactly like his daughter Jinne. She had been studying agriculture on Haven 7 Colony. The last message from her was 6 weeks ago. The torture continued for several minutes. The human man eventually stopped screaming and fell over. Dead. The Valkyrian crowd made more of their cheering sounds. Another human was brought forward. This time it was a woman. The same device was placed on her head. Dr. Haijin Lee, Earth's top expert on alien life, was recording everything. Her hands were shaking as she took notes. "Their technology is far beyond ours," she whispered to Deho. "That device they're using, it's sending controlled electrical pulses. But the power source, I've never seen anything like it." The broadcast continued for 2 hours. One by one, humans from different colonies were brought forward and killed in various ways. Some were electrocuted. Others were exposed to some kind of gas that made their skin bubble and burn. Some were simply shot with energy weapons that turned their bodies to ash. The Valkyrians had turned human suffering into a game show. During the broadcast, HFY provided commentary like a sports announcer. This specimen is from your colony world of Haven 7. Notice how the younger ones last longer before dying. We believe it is because their hearts are stronger. Minsu made a sound like a wounded animal when he saw his daughter brought to the center of the stadium. Jine looked around desperately as if searching for help that would never come. When the device was placed on her head, Minsu had to look away. The total count from today's entertainment is 10,847 humans, HFY announced as the broadcast neared its end. But this is only today's number. Over the past 3 months, we have processed approximately 10 billion humans from 43 colony worlds. Each death was broadcast live to our empire, 10 billion. The number hit the control room like a physical blow. Earth's total population was only 8 billion. The colonies held another 4 billion. In 3 months, the Valkyrians had killed more humans than currently lived on Earth itself. Your species has provided excellent entertainment, HFY continued. But now it is time to finish the collection. We have one world remaining, Earth. The camera focused on HFY's face again. Those black eyes seemed to look directly at everyone watching. Humans of Earth, you have 72 hours to surrender your planet. Lay down all weapons. Gather in your major cities. Make no attempt to resist or hide. If you comply, your deaths will be quick. If you resist, we will make your suffering last for days, and we will broadcast every moment to the galaxy. The alien paused, tilting its head slightly. We know you are watching this transmission. We can detect your communication systems. We can see your military installations. Your weapons are primitive compared to ours. Your ships are slow and weak. You cannot run and you cannot hide. You can only choose how you wish to die. The transmission ended. The control room fell silent except for the steady beeping of machines and the sound of Bo-Ram crying quietly at her station. Daeho looked around at his staff. These were Earth's best military minds, and they all looked defeated before the fight had even begun. Minsu was staring at the blank screen where his daughter's death had been displayed for alien entertainment. Sir, Dr. Hyojin said quietly, I need to analyze everything we just recorded. There has to be something, some weakness we can find. What's the point? Asked Colonel Taesik, the base commander. You heard them. 10 billion people dead, 43 colonies gone, and we didn't even know it was happening. Daeho walked to the large window that looked out over the defense installation. Beyond the base, he could see the city where 3 million people lived normal lives. They were shopping, working, going to school. They had no idea that in 72 hours they might all be dead. But as he stood there, something began to grow inside him. Not fear, not despair, anger, pure, burning anger. The Valkyrians thought humans were weak. They thought Earth would surrender like all the other worlds had. They thought humans were just another species to be collected and killed for entertainment. They were about to learn they were very, very wrong.